But then Ian went to war.
Yes, he was one of the first to volunteer in Harvey with a group of friends.
Mm-hmm. He volunteered. Did he see that as his duty?
Yes, I think he thought it had, because he was Scottish, he had to go and be sure, defend the country sort of thing. Didn't expect Australia to be involved in the war at that time.
How did you feel about him going to war?
Well, I wasn't too happy to be left with 3 children. Rob was born just after he left, and didn't see him until he was just ready to start school. Had never seen him.
It must have been pretty tough bringing up 3 kids.
Yes, it wasn't too easy, but luckily I had, good parents to help me. But I managed to do quite a bit of war work as well.
Tell us about that. What were you doing?
Well, we used to go in and do all sorts of things like pulling prickles out of wool and all those kind of things. And then when the husband was a prisoner of war, some of the 4 of us ran a prisoner of war shop once a month, and we made $1,000 at one time, which was quite a lot of money in those days. We used to run this little shop once a month. Everybody would give us things. Actually, the Italians were very good. They used to give us a lot of produce and things like that. Even brought a goat in to sell one day. That was a bit of a hazard. You
worked with Red Cross as well?
I've got a 40-year badge for that, so I worked there for years, a long time. All sorts of odd things for the war effort. Did a special course for the Red Cross. Some of it was during the war, but I continued after the war.
When your husband was at war and you were having to keep family life going back here, tell us a bit about that.
I was living in the cottage for a year or so, and when I was in hospital having Robin, the little cottage got broken into. It took all my husband's clothes that had left behind. They were all taken, and most of my clothes, and I was left with practically nothing. And friends gave me clothes to carry on with till I could, because we had clothing coupons then. It was a bit hard to get clothes enough to. You had to gradually get them when you had got new coupons and things. And then I moved up home and stayed with Dad and Mum, rather than be on my own down in the cottage after that.
And it must have been very worrying for you with your husband at war.
Yes, because I didn't know for 6 months. I didn't know where he was, or whether he was alive or whatever. And I later found out that he was in the Middle East, fighting in Tobruk. And he was one of the Rats of Tobruk. Yes, didn't like that much. It was dust and horrible.
Mm-hmm. Did he talk much about that when he returned?
He talked quite a bit about Tobruk.
Yeah.
Yes, it was very, very dusty and hot and horrible. He used to go out on reconnaissance, and he went out with Ian McGregor, and Ian McGregor was killed. He walked on a mine right in front of him. He was the brother of Jean Holthouse in Harvey.
He was his commanding officer?
Yes, he was in the 2nd 28th Battalion.
Do you think it affected him psychologically?
Well, I think he took it pretty well. Yeah. It affected a lot of the men very badly, but he didn't let it get him down much.
I know he smoked. Did he smoke before he went to the war?
No, I don't think he did. No, he started smoking when he went to the war. I think it was just something to do, and everybody did it. First got word through the Vatican. They sent me a notice that he was a prisoner of war in Italy. It was another 6 months or more before the army notified me. But then he was there for 4.5 years, I think it was, as a prisoner of war, first in Italy and then up in Austria, on the border of Austria.
And did he talk much about his experience in the camps?
Oh, occasionally. He wasn't a very great talker about things at all, being a Stewart. Plenty of letters after he got into prison, but I didn't know for quite a while. I used to get letters from when he was in the prison camp. First he was in Italy, and then they moved up to Austria. Stella Gate he was in. Tried to pass the time the best way they could by playing sport, and some of the men tried to escape. They dug holes and went under the ground, but they didn't get away with it. We used to send parcels, hopefully that some of them got through, not too many of them, I don't think. But it used to be, he said it was a real thrill when they got the parcels and they'd all share out their parcels.
And it was during this time that the family sold the farm and moved into town?
Yes, he sold the farm. We were moved into the big house in Harvey, a bigger house, which was one of the original houses in Harvey. And Dad went fire spotting up in the tower, a big forestry tower. He had a whole lot of steps to climb up every day there outside Harvey.
Mm-hmm. And tell us about that house. That had a bit of history.
Yeah, it was quite a nice house, and it had belonged to various people right back into the beginning of Harvey, I think. We bought it from Dr. Jacobs, but it had English people in there to begin with. They built the house, and it was built on sort of English lines. Eventually, 2 young lawyers bought the place, and when they moved, they liked the house so much they moved the house as well. But it was put up on the Weir Road, and that became an area where they had to move it again. Now I think it's down at Nannup.